Hello everyone, how are you doing? How are you managing lockdown 2? Strange times, strange days, difficult times to get together. So this is a talk that I first gave at our special in September, and we've since had a special in October, but now we're locked down again. So I'm aware that many of you are unable to come and join us at the moment, so I thought I'd record our talks. So we're following the theme of joy, holding nothing back for the whole of this year, 2020 to 2021, which seems very appropriate considering the times that we're living in. And during this time, we're going to be particularly looking at somebody called Elisha and following his journey. And the joy that he brought, and then also some stories from what we call the New Testament to kind of go alongside that. So I remember when I first gave this talk in September, we were still open at number 49, and we had just run an amazing Stormy Tots. Grace Mealing and I really enjoy doing our Stormy Tots. Very challenging, trying to get everything right, keep everyone safe, make everyone feel comfortable, but also enable people just to stay connected. And this had been a particularly good morning with everyone very grateful for what we had been able to do. And so we'd done all our final bits of cleaning. We'd locked the back door of number 49. We were on our way out, so we'd collected together our things, but hadn't put our coats on or grabbed our keys or our bags. And we thought we had a bit of bread left over. We thought we'll just pop that outside. It was very wet, so we were going to put it in the porch. So we both went out to put the bread outside, and as we did it, we heard the front door of number 49 close behind us. And we suddenly realised we were outside. It was pouring with rain. We had no coats, we had no keys, we had no phones. So we let panic run its course, and then thought, what should we do now? So we had this box of bread, and there were lots of people going by, so we started giving the bread out to people and told them the situation we were in. And then we remembered that my husband was at home, and we were hoping that maybe the spare keys were going to be with him. And so we knocked on the door of the hairdressers next door, who very friendly people. Fortunately, they let me in. Without my mask. I was able to phone home, and my husband, who hadn't been that well this morning, was happy to come out with the spare keys which he had found in the Storm minibus to rescue us. So in the meantime, we just gave out bread and chatted to people and had some really lovely conversations. And my husband arrived, we got ourselves back in, and just as we were saying, oh phew, just got a little bit of time to have some lunch before Storm Club, someone went past who we knew from the past and came in and said, oh, I've been waiting for you to be open so I can have a look around. So we were just chatting to her and showing her number 49, and I was just saying to her, oh, I've been talking about you to someone, because she had just come to the end of a very difficult few years sorting out some things in her family, and we'd met someone who was just at the beginning of a similar process. And so I said, oh, I've been talking to this chap about you and saying there was hope and there is a way through, and it'd be great really if you could chat to him, give him some clues as how to proceed. At which moment he walked past number 49. So we called him in and said, this is the lady we were telling you about. And Grace and I just stood back and let the conversation ensue, and some amazing bits of wisdom were handed out and received by the other party. So we went home even more excited than we had been before, and remembering that the night before, when we'd met to pray, we'd had some really clear words about how God was going to use number 49. Definitely felt like God was saying, this is the place, I'm here now, this is where you are meant to be. And that there was something about DNA that we were going to bring people together and see amazing things happen. And it felt like we'd just seen that in front of our own eyes. And that sense again of that word we had in the summer, of the difference between a grain of wheat, a seed, and the crop that comes later, that they're completely different things, but there's a continuity between them. And that's what we felt we'd seen going on at number 49 that morning, and that reminded me of a conversation that I'd had with one of the team about who's going through a lot of stuff, just how this is such a critical moment in everyone's life. This coronavirus, this world pandemic, which hasn't been seen the like of since after the First World War, and everyone involved in this situation and everyone experiencing changes, and how this makes you review and reflect on your life, and how it kind of brings those kind of things to the fore and makes us think about what is actually important, what do we value, what can we let go of, and what do we want to put an emphasis on. And that really brings us to this whole subject that we're looking at of joy, holding nothing back, living the best lives that we possibly can, and seeing what God wants to do with us. And so when we did our special in September, we'd had the story of Zacchaeus. And Zacchaeus was someone who encountered Jesus, and it completely transformed his life. Up until that point, Zacchaeus had been what we would say is a taker and not a giver. And having met with Jesus, having had tea with Jesus, having had conversation with him, Zacchaeus became a giver and not a taker. His life was completely turned around, and it reminded me of that thing that John Wesley said, which was, he said famously, the last thing that gets converted when we meet with Jesus is our money, our use of money. And that happened to Zacchaeus. But let's reflect on good old Elisha, who's going to be our hero for the year. And in September, we particularly looked at his calling. And Elisha was, in fact, he was one of the greatest prophets ever written about in the Old Testament, someone who was able to foresee what God was up to and what was happening in the world, and guide people into how to live the best lives they could in the circumstances in which they found themselves. But when we first meet Elisha, he's actually a farmer, and he's ploughing his fields with his oxen. And suddenly into his field comes this crazy prophet called Elijah, who's so well known. At the time, he'd just done an amazing miracle on Mount Carmel, which had just astonished everyone, and the news of that had spread throughout the country. And he was this wild-looking creature that everyone knew by reputation and by looks, and he appears in Elijah's field and just puts his cloak on him. And Elisha knows that what Elijah is saying to him is, I'm handing over to you. This is going to be your job. From now on, you are to be the prophet for God's people. So Elisha runs after him and says, okay, I'll do it, but I need to just go back and let everyone know what's going on. So he went back, he chopped up his plough, his wooden plough, and he killed his oxen, and he roasted them, and he invited all his friends and neighbours and family to the feast. And he said to them, look, this is the last time I'm going to be able to provide for you, because I've been called in this time of crisis to something new. And that's such a picture of this whole thing of experiencing God's joy in a new calling, but holding nothing back, because Elisha had no way to go back to his former life. He'd known farming all his life, and now he was going to do something new. And he got rid of his plough, he got rid of his oxen, and he told his people that he was on to something new. What a lesson to us in how to respond to the call of God. And then, just looking at my notes and remembering something, I remember saying to people, is it, which story resonates with you at the moment? Is it Zacchaeus? Have you come to that point in your life where you just know that you need God, and what the life you're living is not the best one that he has for you, and you want to meet him, encounter him, even if that means total change? Or are you more of an Elisha, listening to me, someone who's a follower of God but has been involved in one thing, and now he's calling you to another thing, and you need to leave the old things behind? And I was saying that both of those are quite scary, because it's going into new territory and experiencing new things. But God never asks us to do anything that he doesn't prepare us for. And I was telling everyone the story of our hoover. So a few years ago, our hoover completely died and we knew we had to invest in a new one. And we did some research, and we have a little dog, and we felt that the best hoover that we could buy would be one that was specially designed for people who have pets. So it's a Henry Hoover with a particular strength in terms of picking up pet hair. And the other day I was doing some cleaning, and I said to my husband, this hoover it's a bit disappointing really. We've had it all this time and it feels like we're just buried underneath this layer of dog hair. What a shame. And he said, yes, well, there is an attachment, a pet attachment to the hoover, but we've never actually used it. So in all these years, when I was thinking we were uncovering ourselves from dog hair, we're actually not using the potential of our hoover at all. And there was this special attachment to achieve that. And my husband then put it on and the house was transformed. And that just reminded me of what I believe is a truth, that when God calls us to something, it's connected to what we've done in the past, because God loves us the way we are and all our experiences have something to bear. But when he asks us to do something new or make a complete change in our lives, he's already given us the tools and the resources to do what he's asking us to do, just like my hoover. You do have to use it though. So thanks very much for listening. Next week we'll be doing talk number 2 on this whole theme of joy and holding nothing back. May God bless you as you explore this in your life at the moment and meet all the challenges of this season that we find ourselves in. God bless. Goodbye.